Ooh, I don't know any thumbnail, so that's a thumbnail. Introducing the Dualsense Edge wireless controller, the ultra customizable controller for PS5. Yeah, yeah. So we finally have a pro controller for the PlayStation 5. It's finally happening. It's finally coming out. I know I talked about this on stream before, but I don't think I made a video of it. And I don't know which stream it was. So I'm going to make another. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. So first look at the DualSense Edge wireless controller, customizable controls, changeable stick caps, back buttons, and more. So I have actually taken a full deep dive look at this before, and I will say this: I am liking what they're doing here. They're keeping everything in the DualSense controller. It's keeping the DualSense, the adaptive triggers, and also they're doing like more fancier, more spiffier, touchpad skinning, I guess you could call it, on there. And of course, all the little imprints on the controller is still going to be there too, of the PlayStation symbols. So you can actually take these analog sticks out. They're modular analog sticks, and you can take the tops off from them too. So if you want dome tops, I don't really care for dome tops. I'd much rather just have those standard tops, but they are switchable if you want to, magnetic wise. And then you can take this front plate off, and you can actually pull the analog stick out. So if you have problem with drifting on analog sticks, this is going to be your controller, because you can end up buying analog stick modules and just replace the analog stick and not have to replace the whole controller. I'm pretty sure this is $150 for this controller, so it is premium pro grade controller. It's got your back paddles on it, which for me, that's a must. I really, really, really love the ability to turn off L3 and R3, especially for shooting games. Just turn the L3 and R3 right off in the analog sticks, and then put them on the back paddle buttons, so then I can run and melee, off of my back fingers, more or less. I kind of love that. The USB is a braided USB cable, of course, premium pro grade stuff, and it has a nice little lock-in feature on this. So again, I can't wait. I can't wait to get my hands on this one. I really want this and PSVR 2 next year, because this is coming. I do believe next year it was. Yes, it said 2023. So this was. Oh, that's where this was shown off, was the Game Awards, or the Gamescom stuff. So I think I did already a video on this. But just to, in the months ahead, we look forward to sharing more details. So this video is more or less just to talk about how I will be checking out this. As soon as I can possibly get my hands on this thing, I will try and get my hands on it. So yeah, if in case anybody missed the news of a DualSense controller, then yeah, now you know about it. Highly customizable. It's the same DualSense that you know and love, but with way more customization. Very, very cool. So yes, The Last of Us Part 1, there have been so many deep dives now, because they have just been like, again, Naughty Dog has just been releasing a ton of information on The Last of Us Part 1. I almost think there's too much stuff going around The Last of Us Part 1, just because it is rebuilt and everything, but we know the story. We know what's going to happen in it. We know the characters. We know all of it. So when I'm seeing people doing different parts of the game, of like, here's 15 minutes of gameplay here, here's another 20 minutes here, here's another 10 minutes there, here's the opening cutscene. It's like, I don't know. You should not be. Everybody should not be putting this stuff out before everybody can have their hands on with it. The pre-orders and all that stuff. Again, I've always been against the whole thing of like a week before the game comes out, everybody is able to post up like, the first hour or so of the gameplay. I've always been against that, just on the fact of, let everybody experience the damn game themselves, the mystery of it, of like, what is this thing? Now I get they want to try and show it off to be like, okay, you might like this, so check it out. But I just feel like, if people get hands on with it, that's the best way of selling it, because if one person says they don't like something, that's going to affect 10, 15, 20, 100 other people. If people get hands on with it, and then there's discourse around like, well, especially with The Last of Us Part 2, the way everybody, it was kind of very divided on that one. Getting hands on, seeing this thing for yourself, like instead of instead of putting the game in everybody in all the content creators' hands a week early, how about we have a demo and put it in everybody's hands a week early? That would be the best way of doing it. But yeah, let's see what this 2013 Naughty Dog debut is. Showcase. The showcase a compelling character study and taught survival skills thrills set in a near future America fractured by countrywide incident years previous. We were introduced to Joel and Ellie, a pairing brought together by events bigger than both. Their bond grown in a dangerous cross-country trek that ensued flamboyant set pieces for tense action. What? A blockbuster with heart. Okay. It was also a technical marvel, yes. The studio continued to improve the craft that so vividly shaped Nathan Drake's adventures, breaking new ground in model animation, art direction, cinematic storytelling, multiple teams work. Yeah. So now they're taking all the technology that they've worked on for all these years, and they are, yes, ever since PS3, and now they are finally, able to be like, okay, basically what I'm getting at of the reason why they wanted to do this and why it is full price is because not only are they rebuilding all the character models, not only are they rebuilding all the environments and redoing audio, redoing AI, which takes a ton of development time and money and resources and everything. And would I rather see like Bloodborne get this treatment? Absolutely, sure. But it's Naughty Dog. So what this is upgrading the technology. So when they come out with The Last of Us Part 3, it is going to be so much bigger than you've ever seen before. Just like the giant leap from Last of Us 1 to 2 was. Even like Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 3, there's a drastic leap there. It's because, they were able to test out the different game engine, tweaks and changes and all that to really make everything that they want to do really pop really well. So, yeah, Naughty Dog. I mean, if they can take any of this technical stuff and help out Sony Santa Monica Studio with God of War Ragnarok, or help out Ben Studio with whatever they're working on up next, or let's say they go and like Kojima, they help out Kojima with something. If they can take any of this techniques and help out other studios, and then it just makes every project better, which is the way that PlayStation Studios usually works, that's awesome. So sure, I'll take this. And then hopefully I am 100% behind. Hopefully we get the Bloodborne remastered treatment also in the near future. Like, or Bloodborne rebuilt for PS5 would be probably the best thing that we could end up having happen. So I would love to see it. 100%. But for right now, I will definitely take The Last of Us Part 1. Actually, just pre-ordered it. I will definitely be doing launch night thing for it. All that. Can't wait to jump into The Last of Us Part 1 and check everything out. Yeah, enhancements to combat, to the audio, to the character movements, to the character models. I can't wait to experience the whole thrill ride of The Last of Us Part 1 all over again. Yeah, I will be live Thursday night midnight with The Last of Us Part 1 PS5 version. And again, can't wait for it. Normally, I will not talk about leaks or anything to do with leaks or any. A lot of times I don't even really like to talk about rumor stuff, but I tend to talk a little bit about rumor stuff. So there has been a bunch of news regarding Assassin's Creed, the next Assassin's Creed, which so this list here. Update from the boss. Oh yeah. Okay. But here we go. Assassin's Creed Mirage, as they're calling it here. So, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'll start off with this. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I felt like brought back a lot more to the roots of Assassin's Creed. I felt like it was at the same time, yes, it definitely just spat in the face of what made Assassin's Creed great to begin with. which is very very like it's a history book that you're experiencing in a virtual world. With that being Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3. um well, yeah, even 3 and 4 and Revelations and all that stuff, like it was definitely like there is some mythological stuff in it, but it's more or less like mythological stuff done in the way of the worst thing of the mythological stuff that really happened over the years in Assassin's Creed was the Apple of Eden. Of like the Apple of Eden turned people's minds absolutely insane, looking for the truth or finding too much truth or whatever. At the same time, Apple Eden being a golden artifact of sorts, how many times have we seen over the history of people starting wars over gold? So it drives people insane that way. And I just always loved that Assassin's Creed used to be the history book that just like anybody else. I had the story of being able to pass a history test because of running around in an Assassin's Creed virtual world. So, um, when it came to Odyssey and seeing how much mythological stuff was in Odyssey, it really just irked me. Of course, I've been very vocal about that. Of like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, kind of just like it just spat in the face of what made Assassin's Creed great to begin with. And then we all, of course, have the whole thing of like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Valhalla is definitely, like I said, it's back to the roots, but it also Dawn of Ragnarok. It just feels more like a God of War than it does an Assassin's Creed game or what Assassin's Creed used to be. We have gotten away from like I've been at the point for the last few games where I'm just like, okay, Assassin's Creed is never going to be what it used to be. This changes things. This changes things. So the final name for the new Assassin's Creed. So yes, and this new Assassin's Creed is going to be showing off on September 10th at the Ubisoft Forward press conference thing. They basically came around and told us like, yeah, the next time you hear from us, we're going to be showing you Assassin's Creed, which is like okay. During the it was a Summer Games Fest, I do believe it was like Summer Games Fest, and they were doing the Skull and Bones thing. Which Skull and Bones to me, it's just battleships. I'm just what the fuck. But yes, Assassin's Creed Mirage release in spring of 2023. So we are roughly April June of 2023. So we're like half a year out from a new Assassin's Creed. All right, gives us a chance to run through God of Wars and she's like whatever everything that's coming out. Like there's a big amount of games that are coming out in 2023. It is ridiculous how many games are coming out in 23. So this is a slow year. Next year is going to be a very very busy year. Game will take place between 860 and 870 in Baghdad during the Anarchy in Samara. I'm a little bit like I don't know how I feel about that's so I know that everybody's going to be pissed if they're hearing about that it's like Baghdad and it's not Japan, because I feel like the majority of Assassin's Creed fan base want that Assassin's Creed Japan. Like it's just like come on, just do it already. Just push the button, do the thing already. Again though, it's like we have Sekiro, we have Neo. There's so many games that are already set in Japan that I'm thinking maybe Ubisoft is like, we don't really need to go there. We don't really need to do that. I would like to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing it whatsoever at all. Are we going to see it one day? Most likely. Is it going to be the next game? Probably not. If this has any validity to it, we will play Basim and his in his youth as a thief until he arrived at the Hidden Ones. Okay, so this is reminding me somewhat of Assassin's Creed Unity, but maybe even more so pulled back of like, okay, so you're starting the game off as a little kid, and then you accidentally stumble. So it's almost like Unity and Assassin's Creed 2 mix, those two kind of origin stories mixed together. Could be cool. Could be cool if it's done really cinematic and well done and everything. Maybe. Multiple cities to explore, separated by desert and rivers like the Kingdom of AC1. Okay, this could very well be done. We have already seen it be done in Valhalla, where we have, we have Ireland and we have uh, France, London. You're bouncing between all those different maps. If it's like three or four different, medium sized maps, I guess we could say. I think Ireland and France, like the DLC maps, are kind of smaller compared to the overall size of the what was it? Is it Britain or England or whatever the map is called on Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Like the main map itself. The game will be a return to basics with strong inspiration from the first Assassin's Creed. That's something that I've been wanting and rallying for and chanting for years now, of to bring it back to the old Assassin's Creed, give us the puppetry combat, the stuff that just flowed way better. We don't need Dark Souls combat on it. Even though the Souls combat has kind of grown on me a little bit, um, I still feel like the original Assassin's Creed combat was something so different from the Souls combat that we have now, that it just made everything. It made you want to jump into Assassin's Creed because it was different. It was something that was you didn't get that combat from anything else. So it was like, okay, this is Assassin's Creed, cool. Let's jump in. It's something different. We can have fun. We can jump in here and just start going on a freaking combo spree with slicing and dicing everyone. And that's something that I would love to see make a comeback. It doesn't need to be Dark Souls. It can be its own thing. Think outside the box a little bit, Ubisoft. And I feel like maybe we're finally going to get back to that. Several RPG elements removed, no more dialogue choices, no gender choice, and no more level system. Now, I never liked the leveling system. Always hated the leveling system in Assassin's Creed. Dialogue choices were always kind of fun to play around with. Again, player choice is, I would much rather have more player choice. So more dialogue choices are always a cool thing. Gender choice, I thought that was actually really cool. It would depend on how you want your adventure to be. Both in, I thought that was one of the best things that they did in both Odyssey and Valhalla, was you could pick between the two different characters and have slightly different playthroughs depending on it. The one thing I really did love about Odyssey was the whole dialogue choices, and being able to pick what path you're going down for different endings and all that. I thought that was actually really cool. It makes you want to play back the storyline all over again, but that's also expensive and takes a lot more time to do. So them cutting all that stuff out, I can kind of see the reason why, if they're trying to get the damn game done in a reasonable amount of time. Also, I'm thinking this game was partly made at the tail end of all the like heavy COVID, game development stuff of, everybody working from home and a lot of precautions happening and everything. So maybe that might have had to cut back some of the stuff that they were doing too. Because the games that are coming out this year and next year are like the tail end of like the heavy COVID lockdown stuff. So, they studios are way more open and free to do whatever they need to game development wise now. When this was probably in development to begin with, everybody was probably working from home. So it was it's just a different development situation. The gameplay would be slightly different from that of Valhalla, less raw with new less raw. I'm not quite sure what they're meaning by less raw. To me, raw combat is like sword and shield, and you take away all the like, I'm going to light the ground on fire by parrying something. I'm going to throw a lightning bolt at you. I'm going to kick you and you go sailing, 20 feet in the air or whatever. That would be less raw if you take all that extra bullshit out of there. With new animations are always a great thing. Awesome, as long as they work and as long as they line up and as long as they look good. There's not a whole lot of clipping or anything. Eagle Vision is back, but so is the drone bird. Really, Eagle Vision never left. It's and that's actually one thing I do like about Valhalla a lot more than just the flying overhead drone cam like they do with a lot of Ubisoft games, where it's like boom, and then you see everything light up and you hear like ting 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 for different silver and whatnot popping up. I like that more, but if we have to deal with the damn drone bird, then so be it. Basim will be able to use the string dagger to eliminate his opponents. Okay, so Assassin's Creed 3 stuff. That's cool. That's a fun one to mess around with. There will be visions of Loki for how Loki manifested into Basim's body and consumed him. Oh my god. I keep seeing this stupid ass encoding overload. It just keeps happening over and over and over again. There's no reason for it to be happening. Like literally, I have everything set. Ugh. So visions of Loki. Not sure how I feel about that. So visions of Loki would end up meaning that there's going to be the mythological God of War type of shit happening. I don't care for it. I don't. In all honesty, I still haven't even finished the one in Valhalla. I have 123 hours in Valhalla, and maybe 5 of them were in the the other realm shit because I just don't care about it. I'd much rather check out the stuff that's happening in the real world. That is the grounded gameplay. And yeah, I got over 120 hours of it, so I'm cool there. Ubisoft is secretly preparing the remake of AC1 based on Rift Mirage's work. So the game engine and the build quality that is Assassin's Creed Mirage will end up, being what Assassin's Creed 1, hopefully it's a remaster, just rebuilt for PS5. I think remake again is probably improper terminology here, but yeah. I mean they can't change anything really because they've already built everything off from Assassin's Creed 1. So yeah, it's I again, just like the Last of Us Part 1, I don't see why they wouldn't. Um take the game engine and build everything to the extreme that you can, and then the next Assassin's Creed after that has even better graphics and all that. Every single project that Ubisoft puts out and every single Assassin's Creed that the team ends up making is upgrading that technology for the next one to be made. So if they can remaster something and work out all the kinks out of the game engine in the remaster, and then the next official next installments, major installment of that series is even better. Okay, I feel like that's the way the game industry is kind of just heading into. So AC1 remake should be integrated into Season Pass, which will also include DLC in Constantinople when Bayam meets Sigurd. Okay. So yes, just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey had Assassin's Creed 3 mixed in with the season pass, we're going to see the same thing. It's probably going to be, in all honesty, it's probably going to be a deluxe edition bonus. You get Assassin's Creed 1 remastered with the deluxe edition of Assassin's Creed Mirage, and it's like $10 extra. So check out our remaster of a game and whatnot. If it is that, and they're Ubisoft will unveil it, yeah. If it is that, and they use if they heavily use, and that's the one thing that Jason Schreier was saying too. A person familiar tells me parts of the new Assassin's Creed leak are true, such as the name and other stuff. Bloomberg has already reported spring 23 Baghdad back to AC basics, and other parts are not. Multiple cities to explore. So one big map. What I'm gonna say is probably the initial release of the game is going to be one big map and then multiple cities to explore. It's probably DLC, just like we've seen with Valhalla, because Ubisoft loves to repeat themselves in their game development process and everything. Where it's like, okay, well, this pretty much worked for the season pass. We sold a lot of season passes, so let's do it again. Yeah, rinse and repeat kind of situation. So yeah, definitely I'll be there with a Let's Talk Live, checking out on September 10th, Ubisoft Forward. I'll be there, Let's Talk Live, checking it out live. So that should be cool.